Hello my friends and welcome once again to this Red Gaming Tech video. Myself, Marta. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. I am here as always with the latest news from the tech world from the last 24 or so hours as of the 19th of August. Just a quick note before I get stuck in, if you haven't already, do check out our Discord. You will find a link in the description below and also in the pinned comment if I remember. Go check it out if you so desire. Anyway, we're going to kick off today's video with some news from AMD regarding a brand new chipset. So good news on this one, no salt is required as it came from the mouths of AMD themselves. They announced their entry-level A520 desktop chipset, which of course are for the 3rd generation Ryzen processors, as well as possible readiness for Athlon and Ryzen 4000G processors, which of course would be Renoir. Now the A520 is, as I said, entry level and it does share several similarities with the B550s, for example in that it lacks support for the Ryzen 3 3200G and Ryzen 5 3400G, as well as older 2nd and 1st generation Ryzen processors. But the main difference between this and the B550 chipset is that the A520 does not support PCIe 4.0, but that's not really all that surprising given again that these are entry-level motherboards. Now I don't want to spend too much time talking on this, but I just wanted to quickly highlight that these chipsets have been officially announced by AMD. Moving on then to our next topic, and we have yet more speculation about SSD and RAM prices. So this time around the report is by DRAM Exchange, and of course you can find their full article linked in the description below this video. And essentially what they're saying is that according to them, RAM and SSD prices are soon due to drop quite significantly. And they said, quote, despite the traditional peak season for electronic sales and the release of Apple's new iPhones in 3Q20, the quarterly decline in NAND flash ASP, or average selling price, will likely reach 10% due to the client's end excess inventory under the impact of the current world situation. Now this is pretty much straight on the heels of that video I did the other day where I mentioned the Digitimes report, which stated that the prices of memory chips, which include NAND flash and of course DRAM, are expected to fall 10% in the 4th quarter and is going to continue into the first half of 2021. Now for those of you wondering, the reason for this decline is just down to supply and demand. There's too much memory and people they're not just buying it, they're just not buying it, basically. Essentially what happened is that data centers and other enterprise customers stockpiled memory devices at the start of the current situation over fears of a shortage, and obviously the TLDR of this is that it's caused an oversupply and there's less demand from customers in the coming quarters. However, DRAM Exchange also went on to say, quote, furthermore, as suppliers continue making improvements in the yield of 128L NAND flash, the oversupply in the NAND flash market will intensify in 4Q20, further exacerbating the decline in NAND flash ASP. So again, the too long didn't listen version of everything I just said is that according to this report, we're going to be seeing RAM and SSD prices plummet, and we could see some seriously nice deals on SSDs and RAMs during, say, the run up to Christmas, Black Friday, and so on and so on. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see what the decline actually ends up being, but I think, judging from everything I'm understanding here, we have to expect some sort of decline in price just due to the oversupply issues that I previously mentioned. But we're going to get into the meat of the video now, our first visit to Xbox land, and it's going to be regarding Halo Infinite. So I just want to say before I get into this that this is all thanks to a very well written article by Brad Sams over on Thurrott.com. Go give it a look-see, as I'm very much just going to be giving you the cliff notes. His article is very much worth a read. Anyway, so essentially we already know that Halo Infinite has been delayed until !2021. And Brad's article goes into significant detail about why that has been the case. And as with anything involving a massive game studio like 343, it is complex and has a lot of moving parts. And obviously Microsoft did not make this choice willy-nilly, because it was supposed to be a flagship title, launch title for the Xbox Series X, and now it's been delayed until !2021. But According to Brad's research, one of the big reasons behind the development troubles of Halo Infinite is the fact that a large portion of the development was outsourced, even more so than with most AAA games. Obviously, there's going to be some outsourcing on a massive game like Halo Infinite, or any AAA game really. It's fairly standard practice, but apparently the amount of outsourcing at 343 for this particular product just cause issues, perhaps the amount of it, or maybe just the different developers, the ones at 343 and the ones at the third-party studios were just not communicating. You know, the reason why this caused conflict, it could literally be 100 different reasons, but according to Brad at least, the outsourcing was one of the reasons, but it wasn't the only reason. Apparently 343 management was also preoccupied with the upcoming Halo TV series. So you've got management being distracted by that, and then you've got the development teams, you know, they're not really clicking, something's going wrong, and obviously we have a game that has been delayed until, well, question mark. I'm very much giving you the cliff notes, as I've already said. Do check out Brad's article, it is very much worth a read. It is very well written, again, as I said, in my opinion. Anyway, we're going to move on next to something very, very cool, as we've actually got our first look at the Xbox Series X dashboard. Now, I will of course be playing the little video that Microsoft has released to show us this, but you can find it linked below if you want to watch the full thing without me talking all over it. But you will see that, well, it does look fairly familiar. It looks a lot like the existing Xbox One dashboard. Now, just to say before I get into anything else, that the dashboard is, of course, going to be launching with the Xbox Series X, but it is also applying to the Xbox One, as well as Xbox mobile apps and Xbox Game Pass on PC, so do keep that in mind. But as you can see, it's fairly familiar. Nothing crazy going on here, but Microsoft is stressing that the dashboard has been sort of streamlined speed-wise. You're going to see decreased loading times, and I will read a quote from their post on the Xbox Wire, which reads, quote, Xbox Series X will set a new bar for speed when it launches this November, and we're taking the same approach to accelerate experiences across Xbox. The Xbox Velocity architecture and quick resume technology makes games quicker to launch, and we knew we also wanted to make them faster to discover, talk about, and download, even while you're away from your console. Your phone, PC, or console, all working together. Any time you have available to spend gaming is valuable. We wanted to ensure it was time spent playing, not waiting. The home screen will load more than 50% faster when you boot your Xbox, and is almost 30% faster to load when you're returning from a game. Furthermore, these improvements use 40% less memory than what was previously required. They went on to say the overall layout of most of the console pages remains familiar, just faster and more focused. If some of these updates look familiar, it's because you helped us build them over the past year through our Xbox Insider program, or when you notice them hidden in plain sight, like when the new illustration style found its way into the game bar welcome screen, or a light theme was tested in the family settings app preview. So essentially, the too long didn't listen is that it is very familiar, very sort of comforting, like, you know, your own sort of worn blanket that you still like because you just had it for such a long time, but it has been streamlined and is just going to be faster and more responsive, and again, those shortened loading times, which, don't get me wrong, is very, very nice, but they're not exactly reinventing the wheel here, but you could argue they didn't really need to. But let me know your thoughts on the new dashboard, guys. I'm curious to hear what opinions you may have. But we're going to move on now to some PlayStation 5 news, the first of which is yet more rumours about the launch date and the price. Now, as you might guess, you do indeed need your salt shaker for this one, because it is a rumour thanks to a tweet from Roberto Serrano. And he says that, quote, according to the latest news, more than a rumour or speculation, the next-gen console release date should be for Xbox Series S, which again is Lockhart. It's going to be the 5th of November 2020, and the price for that is going to be $399. For the Xbox Series X, which are obviously the full fat one, is going to be the 6th of November 2020, of course. The price is going to be $499, and as for the PS5, we're going to be seeing that launching on the 13th of November 2020 at $499 for the disc edition and $399 for the digital edition. Now, obviously, take it with a pinch of salt, blah, blah, blah. But this would actually line up with what we previously have heard and what would actually make sense in terms of pricing and the release date. But just to add some fun into the mix, we actually have a rumour that kind of goes against that, sort of. And you'll see what I mean as I go into the topic. So, Epic have posted that its latest DC Comics tie-in for Fortnite, the Last Laugh bundle, is coming on the 17th of November. Now you might wonder, what does that have to do with the price of cheese? Well, Epic notes in its update a couple of paragraphs after this that the bundle will, quote, arrive in time for the PS5 and Xbox Series X launch. Does this mean that it's going to come after the launch of the 13th of November? Could be very possible. I mean, in time, technically it's a few days later, so you could make that argument. Or you could argue that since consoles typically come out on a Friday, it could be the 20th of November or the 27th of November. Now, just to be clear, this is for the retail version. The exact quote is, quote, the retail version is available on PS4, Switch and Xbox One. It will also arrive in time for the release of the PS5 and Xbox Series X next generation consoles. So make of that what you will, my friends. Make of that what you will. I am very much still expecting both Sony and Microsoft to unveil their release dates soon. The rumours and all that about the release date and the price are coming thick and fast, and we definitely need both of them to just come out and say, look, this is when it's coming out, this is how much it's going to cost, just so we can all grimace, go, oh, that's expensive, or oh, that's not too bad, and then start saving up. So we are going to end the video on a bit of a downer, unfortunately, as we have some sad news for fans of Arcane Studios. Now, personally, I am a big fan of Arcane's work. I enjoyed both Dishonored and Dishonored 2, and was very intrigued by the reveal of Deathloop, which we saw revealed at the PlayStation 5 event, I believe. Now, this game was supposed to be coming out this Christmas, but it has been delayed until the second quarter of 2021, basically meaning that we'll see it sometime between April and June next year. It does mean PC players have to wait even longer for the game, because it was supposed to be a timed exclusive for the PlayStation 5. We don't actually know how long it's going to be exclusive for, but 1 year is normally the practice for these sorts of things, so yikes, take the L on that one. I'm definitely pretty bummed about that, because that looked kind of interesting, and again, I'm just a big fan of Arcane's work, so I was looking forward to playing that, but sadly, given the world situation, it's not exactly surprising that we're seeing lots of interesting games being delayed. Anyway, that is me done for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, your support is hugely appreciated. Do remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. It does help out a great deal, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.